Okay, good morning, everybody. So today we are going to continue our discussion in Chapter 4, Section 1. This is going to be our third video out of, I believe, 5 that nope, we're going to do 4. But this is the third video out of 4 that we're going to do for this chapter and section. So this is pretty important stuff, as I said in an earlier video. This is something that you will use throughout your high school career, which is graphing lines. So let's get started. So today I'm going to show you how to graph an equation that might not be in slope-intercept form. So if you look at this equation that we have right here, this 3x plus 2y equals 6, that equation is actually in what we call standard form. Now, I'm not going to go into details about standard form, but just know that that is not slope-intercept form. So if you recall, slope-intercept form looks like this. It's y equals mx plus b. And in slope-intercept form, the two most important pieces of information in that equation are the m, which is your slope, and your b, which is the y-intercept, which is where the graph crosses the y-axis. And so in order to graph an equation, we need this equation to look like this equation. And the way that we accomplish that is by solving this equation for y. You can see in slope-intercept form, y is by itself. So we need to get this y right here by itself. We have to get rid of everything else that you see with the y on that side. So all of that 3x and that 2 has to be gotten rid of. And so the way that we're going to do that is we're going to start out by subtracting 3x from both sides. And after I subtract 3x, those cancel, and I'm left with 2y on the left-hand side, and then I have negative 3x plus 6 on the right-hand side. And now from there, you can see there's still a 2 with the y, so we need to get rid of that 2 by dividing by 2 and dividing this by 2. Now these two 2's, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so it goes away. But here, both this negative 3x and the 6 both have to be divided by the 2 separately. So when I do that, what I'm left with is y equals negative 3 over 2 x plus 3. And you can see that both the negative 3 and the 6 were divided by 2. And so if I write the slope-intercept form of an equation right underneath there, y equals mx plus b, you can see that the slope lines right up with negative 3 over 2, and you can see that the y-intercept lines right up with 3. And so that's what we needed to be able to graph this. We start with b, which is the y-intercept. Remember, I call it the beginning point. We're going to start at the origin. And in this case, it's 3. So on the y-axis, we need to go to where the number 3 would be, which would be up 3. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to put a big dot right there at 3. Now, following graphing the y-intercept, you count from that point whatever the slope tells you. In this case, our slope is negative 3 over 2. So from that red dot, we're going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go over 2 like this, and I'm going to put a dot right there. Now, if you want to do that a couple times, not sure why my light's not coming on. There we go. If you want to do that a couple times, you can do that again. So I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go over 2 again. And sorry about that. And when I go down 3 and over 2 again, you can see I land right here. But what I want you to notice is those points are lining up in a straight line, just like that. They should be perfectly straight. So then when you draw your line through them, they all line up. And that right there is the graph of this equation, 3x plus 2y equals 6. So let's try another one. Same idea. This is not in slope-intercept form. As a reminder, y equals mx plus b. We want to get that in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to solve for this y right there. We need to get that by itself. So we have to get rid of the 5x, and we've got to get rid of the 4. So we'll draw our line. We're going to start by getting rid of the x term. So I'm going to subtract 5x here, and I'm going to subtract 5x from this side. So when I do that, I get negative 4y equals negative 5x plus 8. So the next thing, actually, I'm going to write this. I'm going to rewrite this. Sorry about that. I'm trying to write in black so it's a little easier. So negative 4y equals negative 5x plus 8. So the next thing is we still need to get rid of this negative 4 that's on the y. Okay, and the way that we're going to do that is we are going to divide by negative 4 on both sides. Now, by doing that, it gets rid of these two negative 4's. They cancel when I'm left with y over here. And now over here, both the 5x and the 8 each have to be divided by negative 4 separately. And so we're going to be left with 5 over 4 because a negative 5 divided by a negative 4 becomes positive 5/4. And then the x goes after that. And then we have 8 divided by negative 4, which is negative 2. And so you can see now that I've solved for y once again, I'm writing slope-intercept form underneath there, and you can see how the m lines up with the 5/4, and then the b lines up with the negative 2. And so we're going to plot that, and we're going to start by plotting the b, or the beginning. So from the origin, we're going to go down 2 and put a dot, because remember, the b is always on the y-axis. And now from that dot, we're going to count our slope, which is 5/4. So I'm going to go up 5 and then over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I land there, I'm going to put a dot. And now all I have to do is connect those two lines like that, and I've got my graph. And that right there is a graph of the line 5x minus 4y equals 8. So you can see these problems have two steps to them. The first step is to isolate the y variable. So we put our equation into slope-intercept form. And then once we have our equation in slope-intercept form, you can then graph it on a coordinate plane. Okay, so I have one more to show you, and it's the same as the last ones, y equals mx plus b. So that's the slope-intercept form. That's what we're going for. We need to solve for that y right there. So in order to do that, I'm going to draw my line down. And let's see here. We are going to add 2x this time. So you always get the x term over first. And so when I add 2x, these two cancel. I'm still left with 5y on the left-hand side, and on the right, 2x minus 5, like that. Now the last step here is to get rid of that 5, and the 5 is multiplying the y, so we're going to divide by 5 here, and we're going to divide by 5 here. 5 will cancel. You'll be left with y equals. Now again, both of these terms have to get divided by that 5 separately. So we end up with 2 divided by 5x, and then we have that negative 5 divided by 5, which gives me negative 1. And so now, as you can see, just like the other problems, once I isolate the y, my x term is actually the m lines up with the 2/5, and then the b lines up with negative 1. And so I'm going to be able to now graph this. We start with the b. B is the y-intercept. I like to call it the beginning point. And so we're going to start at the origin. We're going to go down 1 and put a big dot right there. And from that point, we're going to count our slope, which is 2/5, which means we're going to go up 2, and then we're going to go over 5, and we land right there. I'm going to put another big dot. And now we have 2 points that we can proceed to draw our line with, like that. And you can see, put a little arrows on the end of the line, and we've got our straight line. That is a graph of negative 2x plus 5y equals negative 5. So, all right, guys, there you go. Hopefully that made sense. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Have a great day.